All right, guys, week 33. Here we go. So last week we were talking about expectations and standards. And as we talked about them, we were trying to get clear about what might be the difference between them and how do we make that distinction in a way that's helpful. It was my sense that in the conversation, we really didn't come to a clear consensus. We were talking about the need to lower our expectations. No, their standards from my perspective, standards may be raised or lowered, but expectations we want to be spot on. So I'm just going to continue to use that language, but I want to, I'm going to talk about expectations and standards in the same way that I did before, although I understand that this is not a consensus of the group yet. So by expectations, I mean, what do I genuinely believe is most likely to happen? And I want my expectations to be spot on. My standards are how it is that I'm going to show up, or those who are in some sense under my control, like my employees. I might say my kids, except we don't really control our kids, but we can, we have certain relationships in which we do have the authority to set standards. But the confusion between expectations and standards can be a disruption in our life. Chris shared the story about a woman that he knew in college who, because of what he knew about her, he had certain expectations of her that turned out to not be the case. In his example, the fact that she didn't meet his expectations was actually nice. It was refreshing. That wouldn't be true. If my expectation is that you're going to show up in a particular way and you don't, then I will not be happy about that. But I want to alter my expectations because now I'm learning that that's how you're going to show up. If you're always late, then I'm going to tell you that we're going to meet 15 minutes earlier than we really do, that kind of thing. So I will adjust how I behave to match my expectations of how you're going to behave. Except sometimes we don't. Sometimes we have reason to know that our expectations are not going to be met. And we continue to expect it. We keep thinking that if I just do this thing, then this will happen, and it's still not working. What do we call people who keep doing the same thing over and over and again, expecting a different result? So the reason that we do that, and we all do that to some degree, we all find that we have certain expectations that we're going to cling to, even though they're not met. Now, maybe there's standards for myself and I'm going to keep pushing myself. But if it's for something over which I have no control, I keep expecting it to be that way and it's still not that way. That's something that we call a cognitive distortion. It is a way of thinking. It's a kind of cognitive map by which I say, okay, this is the way the world is, but it's not the way the world really is. And so I keep setting myself up for disappointment. And I can give you lots of examples of cognitive distortions because that's a lot of what I address in my work as a psychotherapist is people keep expecting things to be a particular way. Well, it's the Dr. Phil question. He says, how's that working for you? Right? So those are things that we want to change if we can become aware of them. So our work for this week is I invite you to be thinking about, reflecting upon, attending to what are those areas of your life in which you are noticing disappointment. This is still not working. I'm frustrated with this, or the same kind of pattern keeps arising because I am expecting something that isn't likely to happen. Sometimes we do this because of some kind of trauma. It's like we're trying to fix something that didn't work in our past, and so we keep trying to make it work. Sometimes we expect things to be a particular way because if they really worked that way, that would be great for me. That would really, if I am a wealthy person and top down, my economic model is that the world is better if rich people get richer. Hey, that's cool for me, right? So sometimes we construct our cognitive maps in ways that are self-serving or that they are, and a special kind of self-serving, they're trying to repair something broken from my own past. When we really see, oh, this is a cognitive distortion, this expectation is not going to be met, it becomes fairly easy then, relatively easy to fix it. The problem is being able to see it in the first place. So, My invitation to you for this week is to be paying attention to what are those things where you keep getting stuck, and seeing if you can identify what are the cognitive distortions that are stopping you from having a really clear set of valid, accurate expectations. All right? We'll see you Sunday evening.